Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Julie Mann. I'm also known as the Habit Fixer, and I love helping women regain their mojo and age well. I do that with EFT, which is a really simple tapping technique, nutrition, skincare, and digital products. And I'm really excited about my guest today. My guest is Lucia Hoxha. If you don't know her, she's a life coach, but she also specializes in fertility coaching. Yes, so if that's something you're interested in, then please just listen up. So I'm going to hand straight over to you, Lucia. I know that you're going to be talking about 10 habits to keep your relationship strong, aren't you?
Yes.
Great.
Yes. Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you very much for having me. Hello, everyone, and welcome. So as Julie said, my name is Lucia Hoxha. I'm fertility and relationship coach, and I have been doing what I love for almost 20 years now. Today, we are going to be talking about 10 habits to keep your relationship strong. I will try to keep it brief as possible, and I will try to give you as much value as possible, and give kind of hopefully some unique perspective, as well as something that you will be able to carry on and maybe apply to your life. So relationships, no doubt, I would start maybe with that, are probably one of the most influential thing in our life that are influencing how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about our life, about our future. It's got a direct impact to our well-being, I dare to say. And I love talking about relationships, because really it's not only relationship with our partner, with close people to us. Of course, those are one of the most important relationships, but also our colleagues, people we meet randomly, the way we are set up from the past in terms of our relationships, very much depends of our upbringing and relationships with our parents as well. There's lots to say about it, but I just wanted to mention it that many times, and maybe those of you who are listening to us can relate. When we have a lot of positive experiences with relationships, it's much easier for us to connect with new people, to give opportunities to love, to new connections, to to a new partner, maybe if our heart was broken before, and vice versa. If we had a lot of experiences in life where there was broken trust, where there was feelings of abundance, maybe from childhood, it's much harder for us to love and trust again. And it's all connected, because as fundamentally as a human beings, I believe that we all, one thing that brings us together really is that we all want the same, we all need the same, and that is to love and to be loved. And we all go about it in a little bit different way. Some people try to be successful, to be admired, which is form of love. Some people maybe give lots of love in hope that something will come back, but they forget to love themselves. We are all different. But it's so wonderful to be able to talk about relationships, and this is great passion of mine, as well as fertility, because I believe that mending a relationship that didn't exist before, bringing people together where maybe there was no, maybe we couldn't even imagine it before, that is even possible. And vice versa, letting go of toxic relationships, which is something we will talk about as well. That's also a big part of it. So listen up, stay tuned. I'm looking forward to it, and let's bring it all together. So when you're ready, say yes. I wish this to be interactive, so I'm just playing with you. So number one, from my point, in terms of 10 habits, what are the 10 habits to keep our relationships strong? So number one, from my perspective, is just fundamentally prioritize one-on-one time with the people you care about. And maybe I'm going to just make it easier, talk about partner to partner relationship, specifically female to male relationships, just to make it easy, but feel free to apply it to pretty much any relationship, including your children. So prioritizing one-on-one time with people we care about, it's very easy and simple. And some would say, yes, of course, I know that. But very few people actually realize how truly important it is. And it's even harder in this really fast, crazy life to actually, put it in practice. And from my perspective, what is very important is to, slow down to, first of all, to realize what is really, really important in our life in order for us to be happy, to be fulfilled in the midst of, everyday tasks and everyday turmoil, life duties. For those of us who are mothers, especially small children, we know that we find it very, very difficult to balance quality time with our partner, for example. So, first of all, we have to really realize, if that's not happening, if we are not spending quality time with our partner, what is it costing us? And what would happen if we keep on doing it? In case you are listening and you're thinking, okay, yeah, that I'm not doing enough, we need to really be honest with ourselves and say, what is it really costing us doing it long term? Where is it leading? Because that will give us kind of reality check about where we stand right now, and be truthful and honest with ourselves, first of all, about this, and then also to our partner, and having very open conversation about, listen, I really would love it to be this way, but at the moment it's this way, and I know we are dealing with two small children, and it's very, very challenging, but how about, would you like this, or would you think this would be possible, or what are the options that we actually have to make this happen? Let's try it on. Schedule the time in our diary, um, actually, to make sure that it does happen, and create that time. That absolutely crucial and very, very important. Make it a habitual thing, because Julie is talking about, habits. She's a habit fixer. So making a habit, and this being a very good, and after some time, hopefully natural habit, is very, very healthy for relationship, and probably one of the most fundamental things in any relationship. Number two, is improve your communication skills. Now, we heard about communication skills a lot, but what it actually mean, communication? Communication is not just talking clearly in a way that other person understands. That's just very fundamental. But is talking clearly in the language of the person who is receiving the message, and asking for the feedback from the person in such a way that we, as a communicator of the message, get the clear feedback that person actually understood what we are really trying to pass on. So, with other words, that the message we are trying to say landed well on the other side. And because often we are speaking, and we have no idea how it's actually landing on the other side. We are just, isn't it? Julie's laughing. I'm really glad, because that's like sign of a little bit, you understand. And often we are trapped in our own kind of monologue. That's why I'm missing banting with Julie. She's smiling, but like, especially, we need to be empathetic, when we communicate to the message, and keep on checking that the message we are trying to give to our people is landed. And I give you an example, just to not make it dry. I had a weekend, I had a sore tummy, and I was like not well, and my husband is working abroad at the moment, and and I was saying to him that I'm not well, and that nanny had to be here, and I was really, really unwell, to the point that someone had to help me to take care of my kids. And that was on Saturday. And yesterday I had another conversation with him, and I mentioned that, oh God, hopefully it won't happen like that for another long time, that I will be in so much pain, like on Saturday. And he said, huh? And I was like, Saturday, I told you I realized in that moment that although I communicated it to my husband, it didn't land at all on Saturday. He was in complete shock how unwell I felt yesterday because he completely missed the message that I already told him because of his filter of the way he was listening to me at that time. Obviously he was busy at work and so on. So this is just a little example of how we can communicate having no idea that our message is not coming through, and then wondering. And often this is a cause of many conflicts when we as a women think that our men understood and they have no idea, no clue, and then we are being crossed with our man that he doesn't understand me, he doesn't understand my feelings, he's and it's and often what even more what we do very often is that we presume that man should know this. He should see that I am tired. He should have done the dishes because he knows how to. So we are assuming that men should know. So that's another, something silly that we do. And at least it's important to know about it. And hopefully, something will click. And because that way we are learning how to communicate more effectively. And third little thing I say on this, part of communication is also listening. And with that, I will say hearing is not the same as listening, because unless we have any problems with our ears, we all hear things. But similar as my example earlier, we can hear but not listen. And same as when we are listening, when we are on the receiving end, we are often listening but not really. Those moments when, I don't know, for example, if Julie is saying something to me and I'm hearing her, I'm listening to her, but if I'm already thinking like what I'm going to answer to her on that, because it reminds me of similar experience I had myself, because we all have similar experiences. We all have, especially if we are friends, we always have something to say, is not really a listening, because I'm already listening to my own thoughts, preparing what I'm going to answer. So true listening is really having almost like blank mind. And I often use term listening from the space of nothing. It's almost like when you are in meditation. Often when I'm working with my clients, I often work on a phone. I close my eyes because I can not only listen, but also feel them. I can hear them breathing. I can really get a sense of where they are physiologically, as well as emotionally, as well as, from the tone of the voice, not only what they are saying. So the good quality listening is also very, very important skill, and something we can try on in terms of improving our communication skills with our partner. Number 3 is something I mentioned already. Don't assume, ladies, ask. So don't assume is so easy to jump into conclusions. Example is like, oh, he's going to play football because he doesn't want to be with me, or he is, I don't know, he's playing on computer because he doesn't care about children and it's all down to me. And, we often create the stories that are nothing to do with reality. They might seem real, but we are often creating the stories, and actually a lot of our human suffering consists of stories that we create in our head that are so unnecessary, and we are actually self-harming ourselves with this. And again, enough would be to say, to be very honest and open with the partner and say, for example, well, sometimes I feel that you are going to play football because you prefer to be with your friends more than with me. And not say it in that kind of, to make other person to feel guilty, but more like from the space of, I'm vulnerable here, I'm sharing my feelings, and I just want to check in. I feel this way, and I just felt like I want to share that with you, and let the partner and give them a space to be able to say what is really there for them when you ask, when you say, and then be on receiving and give them a platform to be able to be honest and open with you, and then listen really from the space of heart. Number 4 is promote positivity. Now, when I ask old people, how come they've been together for 60 years and they're still holding hands and happy? I always ask these questions to couples who, are happy. What I notice over the years and answers that I get, they always really um, are positive, but not only positive like, we are trying to be positive, but they are being positive about the way they talk about each other to other people. They are even in front of each other. They more notice good things about the relationship. They are more focused about what is working in relationship, rather than focusing on what things hasn't been done or didn't work, or the arguments. And it's not like we are brushing under the carpet things that they don't work in relationships, but we are more being focused, or at least balancing it out in a way that we are focusing more on positive things in relationships. In my own relationship, recently I bought these cards. They are like dating cards, or they call them dating cards maybe, where there are questions to provoke deeper conversations between partners. And I found it really useful. We played this game when kids been sleeping in the car on the way somewhere to our holidays, and we had so much fun, because one of the questions being like, who do you think was more nervous on the first date? They make you go back to positive times of your life, remember those years ago, how it all started, why you actually chose each other, how did we felt at that time. It's very important to kind of come back to those times, especially when you're in a stage of marriage where things are not going very well, to remember like why you chose one another, and what is your why for uh, I don't want to use the word fighting for this marriage, in case you are in that stage, but to persevere, and to give it a chance, to give it maybe your all, if you are there and doubting maybe. Number 5, practice the art of arguing. Now, I think we would probably, most of us agree that we don't like arguments. They are not comfortable. They take a lot of energy from us. They are, nice. They make us feel often guilty or hurt, or, we don't have very good relationships with arguments. So what we try to do, and I speak for generalizing a little bit for women, we are often trying to either avoid arguments in order to keep peace and calm, and so-called calm, which is superficial if something is hanging there in a family, or going into ones, like looking for them, because it makes us feel right, because it makes us feel our ego, let's say, it makes our ego to feel validated in some kind of way, and maybe for a little moment it makes us feel kind of good that we are on the top of the horse, or whatever you call it, and that we are the right ones and he's the wrong one. But like in any war, in this kind of war, of course everybody is, we all lose in these kind of wars. But what I want to say in terms of practicing art of arguing is this different kind of arguing. If this, sorry, is different kind of arguing, is when there is no war, there is open, there is, okay, it's something which is inside us, where we need to let that something to get out. And you all ladies, hopefully I'm not alone, we all have that feeling. We are all human beings. We all get angry. Anger is very valid emotion. I want to start with that. It's just, it's so, so different. And I want to emphasize this in terms of practicing arguing. So very different to argue and argue with your partner, because you can, the ineffective argument is the one I mentioned, that the war where we, I don't know, calling each other names, God forbid, or we are going into the mode where we are being hurt, therefore we are trying to hurt another to feel better just for a little moment. So that's one part of arguing. But when I'm trying to talk about practicing argument, is practice the kind of healthy type of arguing, where you're not suppressing your emotions, when you're not suppressing you being hurt, but you are communicating it out in effective way, and in such a way that, again, it leaves other person, rather than being hurt and escalating the conflict, in the space where he clearly gets your message of how much not only you being hurt and how you feel, but how much in the middle of that you actually doing it because you love and care about the relationship. Because if God forbid Julie upsets me ever, and if I shout at her, not shout, but if I raise the voice on her or my children or anyone who I love, but I'm doing it from that space of love and commitment to resolve the problem, find a solution, is very different quality of communication, of argument, of, Julie wouldn't get upset on me, because even if she hears me raising the voice, but she will feel, most importantly, and hear the commitment I have towards Julie, because I love and care for her. And I'm so passionate about it that I have to raise my voice to make it, emphasize how much I actually do and care. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Good, good. So that's why practice of arguing in relationship is actually very good and healthy. Number 6, honor others' dreams. This is something that people sometimes forget in relationship. Never mind honor somebody's dreams. We sometimes forget even honoring our own dreams. Even worse, we even forget to dream. So ourselves, never mind, thinking about what, so when I'm thinking about dreams, it doesn't have to be, landing on a moon. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be anything moderate, anything that, example can be, if I say to my husband that, sometimes I would love you to blindfold me and sit me in a car and take me somewhere on a meadow where sun is shining, bring me my favorite cheese. And, I mentioned something like that, like a wish. And maybe it won't happen for some time, but 2 years later it happens. Maybe it's not the dream, but, our each other's wishes, but maybe even dreams, if my husband's got a dream to have a, farmhouse, and, and if there is any way how we can, make it happen, and I can support him in that, it really creates, actually intimacy in relationship, and the sense of other person hearing us and being here for us in capacity, that we really feel that we are being heard and nourished. Going to speed up. So number 7 is show your gratitude and appreciation. Something that, again, we know about often, ladies. I'm talking to myself at the same time. And we often don't do it, or don't do it enough. Or we do it, but we do it to strangers, but not to our husband. Or we say, nice things about him, but when he's not there, but not to him directly. So, I'm glad Julie is nodding, because that means that, she again hears what, she recognizes herself maybe in some of that. So very important, being able to, because often as a women, we maybe complain internally, like, he's not appreciating me enough. If he only knows and understand how much I'm doing for the family, how much I'm working, how I wake up early in the morning and make sure that everything is ready and kids and smooth. But, our complaint is really, like with everything, pointing finger at us, like, is very important to ask ourselves a question, like, when did I praise him for something last time, genuinely, not artificially, but genuinely from the heart, and said, well done, I'm so grateful for all you are doing for me, for us, for our family. Number 8, very briefly, develop empathy. Empathy is something that to some of us it comes very, very naturally. Most women have it. Some of us, we have to kind of practice a little bit more. But it's like, I think Maya Angelou was who said, this lady, and she said, people might forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Number 9, remove toxic relationships from your life. I said at the beginning, I said very briefly. From my point of view, I can share with you guys. I always try in my life to. Okay, I start with toxic relationships can be anywhere. Some of them we can cut off very easily, and we might choose not to see a person ever again. Some of them, they are very close to our heart or is our family, and it's not so easy. Like if it's our own mom, or if it's your child, or it's much more challenging. But it's generalization. If it's at all possible, to remove this toxic relationship that is making you completely drained, you are feeling tired, in some cases even sick physically. And if it's at all possible to remove this relationship after trying, I always try to repair, to communicate, to use all the tools. If you get to the point where you exhaust all the options and you feel inside your soul that is the time to let go, then let go. If it's someone who is close to you, and I'm trying to make it really quick, that's much more challenging. But then the boundaries are something that is very, very important to put in place. We could talk about it much more, but I will leave it to that. And number 10, connect with your authentic self. It's not very often being said that actually in able to build successful relationship and have a success in life, because success in my life, I treat it pretty much when I have a successful relationship with people, big part of it is that. In order to have these successful relationships with our people, we first of all need to have, of course, good relationship and positive relationships to ourselves, but even more importantly, or equally importantly, authentic relationship with ourselves. That means and it's gained over the period of time, we gain it by really dedicating time to ourselves, to allowing ourselves to pause. Often coach, therapist can really guide us through this extraordinary journey of personal development and self-realization. I'm talking about knowing what our values are, knowing what our beliefs, knowing what lights us up. We are all very different and individual. It's so important to know these things about ourselves, because everything else evolves really from that, including the kind of people we attract to our lives, including what kind of conversations we choose to have people, what kind of people we choose to have in our daily lives. So very, very important to actually understand and knowing ourselves in order to be able to have successful relationships and be well and satisfied in life. Julie.
Oh my goodness, Lucia. I absolutely love listening to what you had to say. And you absolutely must come on again because it really wasn't enough time. But I think, some of those things, obviously, people watching, listening, will be familiar with, but it's all in the practice of it, like you said. If we made those things a daily practice, what a difference our relationships would what a different state they'd be in. And also, we'd feel happy, and ultimately it is about us finding ways to be happy, isn't it? And to feel fulfilled, and like you say, to be authentic in the things that we do. So I really love that. I could absolutely relate to all of the things that you said. I've done those things that didn't work. And, at times I've done things that do work, and I know the difference. And I think that I'm absolutely going to go back and listen to this call. And I recommend that if you're watching, listening, that you do exactly the same thing. So Lucia, thank you so, so much for that. Is there anything else you want to add? We've only got like a minute left, but is there anything else you want to say?
No, thank you so much for listening. I really tried. There is so much more to say, but I really tried to bring you value, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Julie, for having me. And I just want to wish everyone have a beautiful day and have a great life, because it's a one life we have. We might as well live it well.
Absolutely. It was an absolute pleasure. And as I say, I'm definitely going to have you back on again. So if you have been inspired, delighted by what Lucia has shared, then please check out her links. They'll be below this video. Mine will be there too. And reach out to her. She's such a wonderful person. And if you've loved this, please subscribe. And if you really loved it, then why not share it with someone else who could be really benefiting from this fantastic information. So thanks again, Lucia, and thank you everyone else for watching.
Thank you.